start this stream. Give me 1 second. All right, you guys. So let's begin. What's going on, man? All right. So, in case you don't remember, I spoke on this Saturday when it first happened. Now, Andre Rozier, he did an interview. I think it was with Fight Hype. Yeah, I think it was with Fight Hype. Shout out to the people at Fight Hype. And they basically spoke on the controversial fight with Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora, in which Sebastian Fundora ended up winning a split decision over Tszyu. Tszyu suffered his first loss of his career. So now basically everybody's trying to figure out what happens next. Now, some people are saying that Fundora should give Tszyu a rematch. Then you're hearing about Terrence Crawford, and then Errol Spence tried to railroad his way in, which I'm going to speak on Errol Spence and his fans because I like cooking them. I like cooking them since they just continue to come on here and talk shit and just make fools of themselves and just continue to show how delusional they are and don't really seem to understand things. But, with that being said, so Andre Rozier was asked about what happened with Tszyu concerning the cut. Now, Andre Rozier said exactly what I said. So this just goes to show y'all know what I'll be talking about. Tszyu had a way out. Now, some people going to say, well, based off what you said, Town, and what Andre Rozier said, well, Tszyu brought this on himself. That's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. I'm not going to get mad because you guys are absolutely right. Keep in mind, the cut suffered by Tszyu happened, I think, in the second round? And it was unintentional. Fundora didn't do it on purpose. But going into the third round, Tszyu was asked, did he want to continue? After the third round, when he was bleeding and the blood was getting in his eye, Tszyu should have told his corner, nah, I can't continue. They would have stopped the fight. It would have been a no contest, and Tszyu would have got to keep his belt. They would have rescheduled, and basically we wouldn't be where we are now. Andre Rozier said that he would have stopped the fight. He would have said, hey, we're going to stop the fight. So now it comes down to, well, did Tszyu's corner fail him? And did the doctor do Tszyu a solid by letting him continue? Because at the end of the day, the doctor can stop the fight. The doctor has the right to stop the fight and say, hey, I'm going to stop this fight. This cut is too bad. You're bleeding into the eye. Because Tszyu was pretty much a one-eyed fighter once the cut happened. And he still managed to fight very well, but just not enough to secure the fight, because I think had he not had the cut, I think he would have won that fight. I think he possibly would have ended up like stopping Fundora. But nevertheless, Fundora won. He's the champion. So now we had this controversy on what he's going to do, because it appears like Fundora is playing these games. Like basically he's going to try to wait this out, talking about he may not be able to go till November, which I think is complete cap because of what happened to his nose allegedly. And I just think it's just the PBC playing their games and Samson Boxing just playing their games. That's just what I think allegedly. But I really think that he didn't suffer enough damage to where he would be out till like November, to where he can't fight till November. Like, come on, man. Even if you got a broken nose, dude, you only be out for a couple of months. at the very least, man, you still could return to the ring. You could, to be honest with you, Fundora could probably return to the ring by June if he really, for real, June, July, if he really was, if he's really hurt. But to say November, that just seemed kind of suspect. But Andre Rozier said that he would have stopped the fight. I said that they should have stopped the fight. And like I said, I will give Tszyu all the credit in the world for having a warrior spirit and fighting on. But at the end of the day, there was nothing for him to prove. It was an accidental, you know what I'm saying? Uh, accidental cut, elashing, whatever you want to call it, on his head. And the way he was bleeding, they should have stopped the fight anyway. The fight doctor should have said, you know what? I'm going to just stop the fight. The cut is just too bad. It's just too bad. So Tszyu went on to continue to fight. He ended up losing a split decision. So now he has the first defeat of his career. And now he has to figure out what he's going to do. Because like I said before, they could have just said no harm, no foul. Okay, we run it back. We run it back. I get to keep my belt. We reschedule. And then who knows? But in all likelihood, based off the injury and what happened to Tszyu, how quick the stitches heal and when he's able to go, because it takes steps to this. Because one, you got to get stitches. Then he got to get the stitches removed. Then you got to give it time for the stitches to heal properly, the flesh and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, Tszyu really have a real injury. So Tszyu at least probably out 3 months before he could even participate in any type of boxing activity. So his, you know what I'm saying, his, his injury and what happened to him is legit. Fundora, I just think Fundora is, you know what I'm saying, I just think that I just think it's cap. I think it's cap, and I think most people with common sense know that it's cap. I just never heard of somebody who they hadn't even officially said he had a broken nose. I just never heard anybody that had some kind of so-called nose injury not being able to go at least till November. Unless he had an infection. And like I said before, even if he had a broken nose, he's not going to be out till November. Just stop it. Just stop the cap. But these people think we're dumb, and they just think we believe everything they tell us, and I thought they should have stopped the fight. I said that they should have stopped the fight. Now, if Robert Garcia said that they should have stopped the fight, well then here you go. Now I find it funny that Robert Garcia wants to train Errol Spence. But then again, why not? Errol Spence, his first trainer was a Mexican, and Errol Spence has a Mexican style, boxing stance, and he fights sort of like Mexican style. I don't know where they get this stuff that Errol Spence is just stellar on defense. Errol Spence has always had suspect defense to me. I think his work rate, I think his offense was his defense, because you seen when Errol Spence was getting picked off by Terrence Crawford, you seen that he had no defense. Terrence Crawford was the dude that solved the Errol Spence puzzle, because he was able to beat Errol Spence at the punch, literally and figuratively. And he beat Errol Spence's face in, That's a video for another day. That's a long way from now. That Broner versus Cobb, that's a long way from now. I'm not even going to break that fight down, but the smart money, if you wanted to get technical, you might would have to go with Cobb. Adrian Broner just ain't been the same since the Maidana fight. It is what it is. He's been gun shy. He's just been gun shy. That fight really affected Adrian Broner. Whether Adrian Broner wants to pretend or not, he just ain't been the same since that fight. He prematurely got, rushed into that fight. It didn't work out for him, and I just think Adrian Broner never recovered from the Maidana fight. Maidana did a lot of damage to Adrian Broner that affected his performance from that point out. So, there you have it. But I'll talk about it as we get closer to the fight. Who knows? I may be at that fight depending on where the fight is. I wouldn't mind going to see that, but with that being said, this is what's wrong. Like I said, this is what's wrong with boxing sometimes and what's wrong with boxers. So now Tszyu could be thinking, and he should be thinking, like, damn, did I let my pride get in the way? There was nothing for me to prove. It wasn't like I was looking for a way out. I had, I was legitimately handicapped. But like I said, there gonna be people saying, "Oh well, we don't feel sorry for Tszyu. He had a way out. He continued to fight. So too bad, too bad, so sad." And I understand if you want to go that direction with, with Tszyu. I would have stopped the fight. If I was the trainer, I would have said, "Hey man, you can't go, man. You can't go." After the third round, I would have said that I would have said, "Listen, man, you're bleeding too bad. We got to stop the fight. You get to keep your belt. You regroup. You take some time off. You get stitches, and we'll reschedule. We'll reschedule for, maybe September, October or something. If you heal, depending on how well you heal." Who do I think is the best stadium for a boxing match? You mean what stadium? What stadium? I couldn't tell you that. I mean, I done been to quite a few arenas. Me myself, as far as covering boxing, the best arena that I've ever covered a boxing match at probably would be the MGM Grand Arena. But the MGM Grand is starting to, you know what I'm saying, they might have to remodel that a little bit. But that's one of the most convenient arenas to cover a fight because it's very easy to get footage. It's really only two ways into the MGM Grand unless you not fighting, either downstairs or basically through the hallway. So there you have it. There you have it. MGM Grand, probably for me and for media people, that's probably the best arena to cover a boxing match. T-Mobile, I don't like T-Mobile. I've never liked T-Mobile. I don't like covering boxing matches at T-Mobile. Michelob Ultra Arena probably is my second favorite arena to cover a fight because once again, it's built primarily just like the MGM Grand. Pretty much with the Michelob Ultra Arena, it's really only one way in. Really only one way in. Now sometimes they have a second entry, but for the most part, it's very easy to get access and get footage. So those are my two favorite arenas to cover a fight at. I love it when a fight is at the Michelob Ultra Arena because, like I said, I can end up getting a lot of footage. I covered the Super Bowl and the Teofimo Lopez fight. So I was able to get the 2-for-1. They were holding a lot of Super Bowl festivities at the Mandalay Bay. So, I got a lot of footage, did some great interviews. So there you have it. Madison Square Garden is okay. Madison Square Garden is it's okay. But Madison Square Garden is a very old antique arena. It's very old. It's over 50 years old. Yeah, I have been to New Orleans like many moons ago. Pre-Katrina. New Orleans. I'm gonna just keep my opinion of New Orleans to myself, but Yeah, well, Mark, I like both of those arenas because, like I said, it's easy for us media dudes to get footage. So um, on a side note, I'm gonna talk about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. I heard that the ticket prices are dropping, which that's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with ticket prices dropping because Ryan Garcia has done everything in his power to like sabotage that fight. And like I said before, I spoke to Bill. I text Bill like earlier, and like I said before, I have told them that they need to possibly seek action against Ryan Garcia for basically sabotaging this fight and attempting to sabotage this fight. But like I said, I believe that people are pulling the strings behind this, and we know who those people are pulling the strings behind it. So um, I just think it's a disservice, to what they have done. Uh, the pay per view fight itself will be priced at $79.99. Now, if Ryan Garcia can make it to fight week, I think that the fight will do some good numbers. Now, the funny thing is, I'm waiting for the PBC to release the numbers of what happened with this past pay-per-view. They haven't released any numbers, but Leonard Ellaby is always worried about and talking about everybody else's numbers. He always talking about Devin Haney's numbers. So I want to know, what are the pay-per-view numbers? Well, here's the thing. The fight was selling well. The first week, they sold like around 10,000 tickets. So I don't know how many. What I think is going to happen, I think fight week, when they have the assurance that Ryan Garcia is actually going to show up to the fight, I think you're going to see. I think fight night, you'll have a lot of walk-ups. I think fight week, you'll see tickets. You'll see tickets moving because, like I said before, Ryan Garcia has just did everything in his power to like monkey wrench this fight. Sad. First of all, Fundora, you can make an argument he shouldn't even have been a last minute replacement. They probably was people that was more deserving of him, because keep in mind he got knocked out in his he got knocked out in his last fight versus Brian Mendoza, a dude that Tszyu had beat. So in all likelihood, they couldn't replace Fundora with um Mendoza because Tszyu had already beaten Mendoza. So I guess they was just like, we'll go with Fundora, but I think there could have been some other people. But we know they wasn't going to pull nobody out like Virgil Ortiz or somebody like that, because Virgil Ortiz is a question of how healthy Virgil Ortiz is. I can't look at the available, 154 guys right now, but I just was kind of scratching my head when they first announced that it was Fundora, but Fundora was supposed to fight somebody else, and he ended up getting elevated to, basically the replacement. But I'm waiting to see what the numbers are going to be for the pay-per-view. Listen, man, Ryan Garcia, I don't even want to do the tribalism thing with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia isn't even liked by people from his own community. A lot of people say that Fernando Vargas Jr. uh said that he wasn't a real Mexican, but I don't even want to explore that, because at the end of the day, I'm not Hispanic. That ain't my place. That ain't my you know what I'm saying? That ain't my conversation. That ain't my battle. That's not my battle at all. Damien, let me explain something to you. Errol Spence better be worried about Ryan Garcia. I mean, excuse me, he better be worried about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, because if that fight outsells if that fight outsells Errol Spence's last fight versus Ugas, like I said, heads are gonna roll. Errol, like Leonard Ellaby always be talking like that. I wouldn't even pay attention to Sir Nose, man. Leonard Ellaby always talking out the side of his ass. He always saying that stuff. You know, they admit that Tank is a star. They pretty much admitted, yeah, Tank, man, he can fight anybody, man. Tank is a star, man. He's a star, man. He can fight anybody, man, and people will come see it, man. He can fight the Easter Bunny. If they could, they probably would put the Easter Bunny in the ring with Tank, because we know they ain't trying to make the best fights available. Listen, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it doesn't really matter whether you think Devin could beat Tank or whatever the case may be, or Shakur Stevenson. At the end of the day, the PBC is about protecting O's and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to make a Tank versus Shakur Stevenson fight or a Tank versus Devin Haney unless it's absolutely necessary, because they don't have to. You would think the PBC learned their lesson, but they haven't. No, but they really believe that that's what Leonard Ellaby be saying, man. Tank is a star, man. I mean, it doesn't matter who did. They admitted that Tank ain't really trying to fight the best dudes out there. I just laugh at the fact that he fighting Frank Martin. Now, do I think Frank Martin is a good fighter? I think he's a solid fighter, but we all know that he bowed out of the fight with Shakur Stevenson. The reason why Frank Martin really bowed out of the fight, because he got too many hands in the cookie jar. Like, a lot of these people go on these other outlets and be sitting up here talking out the side of their neck, and they don't be knowing what they talking about. Frank Martin just got a lot of people who had their hands in his pocket like Malcolm X, getting percentages and all that kind of stuff. Like I said before, I done heard people sitting up here lying and stuff. Listen, man, Frank Martin got like anywhere from like 150,000, maybe 200 grand tops for his last fight against Rozier. No, he didn't even get that for Rozier. He got like 50, man. He got like 75K. The fight before that, in which he kind of struggled, he got like 100,000. He was going to make 1.3 million for Shakur. That's fact. That's fact. They backed out of the fight. They are, look, here's the truth. I'm going to say this again. What do Top Rank got to lie to me about? Why would they lie? That fight went from 700,000 to $1 million, and Frank Martin keep talking about, oh, all they had to do is add a little more to it. I mean, they added plenty of to it. You went from making maybe 100 racks to like, 1.3. That would have been your biggest payday ever. So I hear people sitting up here trying to make excuses, and you got people sitting up here who don't cover fights, who don't talk to you. I talked to the people at Top Rank. They told me he was going to make 1.3. He backed out of the fight. It doesn't matter whether you like Shakur Stevenson or not. That was going to be his biggest payday. He didn't take the money. That's factual. And he's going to get less to fight Tank Davis. But then Tank them talking about they looking for big fights and all this kind of stuff. But you fighting the dude that was fighting in conference rooms and ballrooms. You fighting the ballroom fighter, but you talking about what Devin Haney can't sell, should sell, how much his tickets is and all this kind of stuff. Oh man, it should be sold out. You was selling tickets for, like, man, you selling Frank Martin tickets at ballrooms who only hold maybe at 2,000 capacity, fighting in conference rooms at the Cosmopolitan, maybe 2,000 at best. And you sell a ticket for $25, man. But you talking about what Devin Haney is selling. Man, stop the cap, man. Stop the cap. Stop lying. They need to stop lying. So like I said, Top Rank don't have no reason to lie. What they gonna lie for? What they gonna lie for? Oh, what they gonna lie to me for? I'll talk to them people. like I said, it was his biggest payday and he walked away from it. Or he had to bow out a bit because he had to worry about how much of a percentage he was going to have to give to all the people that had their hand in his cookie jar and stuff. How much was he really going to have left when it was all said and done? So that's what they don't want to tell you. So, you know, I'm just saying. None of these dudes be making sense. Now, let's see how. Now, here go the thing. Now, they having to put David Benavidez on the same card as Tank. That's gonna say a lot. That says a lot. They basically saying they don't know. They know that fight ain't gonna sell good. They know the fight is not going to sell good, so they need David Benavidez to be on that card to sell. But they'll try to say, if the fight does well, yeah, man, Tank, he did 700,000, man. Yeah, because you had David Benavidez versus Voslik on the card. So of course. Well, there you have it. But that's what they've been doing. Now, from what I've been heard, now here's the thing. What was the last time you saw Steve Fulton? It's been like what? Let me see. So here's the thing. It's been like almost what 9 months since you last saw Steve Fulton. Why ain't he fighting? Now you've been hearing that they may possibly put Steve Fulton and Jerron Boots Ennis on the same card. And once again, Steve Fulton was another dude that was fighting at small venues and stuff. So fighting in Minneapolis, fighting at venues that only hold like 4,000 to capacity and stuff. So this is why the PBC, they don't be making no sense. Yeah, it's been 8 months. Man, I can't even remember. Gary Russell Jr. is semi-retired. Now his brothers is fighting. Now his brother could be a possible, wild card, at 140. Because his brother got talent. His brother can fight though. And his brother hit hard too. So he's a player in the game at 140. But once again, I'm just gonna tell you this right now: the PBC, they ain't learned their lesson. PBC don't do no purse bids, so they don't win no purse bids. The PBC hasn't ever won a purse bid. Now they got the letter saying that they needed to negotiate with Terrence Crawford, but yet they talked about, Fundora ain't gonna be ready till November. If I'm the WBO, I would just tell Fundora, you need to show us proof that you're unable, medical proof, real proof. If not, we just gonna strip you of the title or just vacate the belt, man. But they'll try to see, but they don't want it to look at if they duck Terrence Crawford, so they need to try to say, oh well, But here's the thing: I promise you, if they give up that WBO, I bet you Fundora will be fighting sooner than November. Now I'm okay if he run it back with Tszyu, but no, Errol Spence got to go to the back of the line because Errol Spence got his head beat in. So, but there you have it. But anyway, you guys, appreciate you guys. Probably gonna do one more, gonna take a 10-20 minute breather, then come right back. Really depend on